Let's go.
Box art is boring, and that statement is what landed me in this pile of paint. On this third version of Lemartes, I really wanted to try something just a little bit different. I know, one of them is technically not painted, but the one that he was replacing was, so I'm still going to count it. The thing that I really want to show you here is this inner glow, but to get there, we need to paint some black armor. To do that, I'm busting out the airbrush. This step is all about pushing and pulling, moving the shadows and the highlights where you need them to be. The only colors in this armor are black, white, and a blue-gray, and it's all about the mixture. You could achieve this same effect, the same look with just a small dry brush, hitting up each panel, each curve, and just building that color up. So definitely don't get discouraged, and let's go paint some armor. Whether you decide to go with an airbrush or a dry brush, just pay attention to the colors being used as we work up in value and try and emulate that with what you're doing. It takes a little practice, but it can yield nearly the same results either way. Just remember to never let not having a specific paint or tool stop you from trying something new. Experiment with it and have fun. Yeah, I mean, it is supposed to be a fun hobby, right? Right? The next logical step here is to go to our second most prevalent color, and that's the red. We've already got a little bit of it on the jump pack, so let's get it on the rest of the model. All you really need for this is a basic red, something with nice coverage for your base, and then a yellow to mix in, and that's going to work up to your highlight. How far you push that highlight's really up to you. At this point you're seeing that inner glow on the chest, don't worry, you didn't miss it. But at this point on the model, it actually makes a lot more sense to work on the metallics. Since we've already got the paint out for the armor, the only new color I'm introducing here is silver, but you can do this with whatever you've got on hand. Yes it does. But just trust the process. When painting things like skulls, the best way to do it is to start with a brown or a tan and work your way up to white. You want to use thin layers and make sure that they're very dry in between, so you don't lift a prior layer and create some ugly texture. And as you get to those higher values, that brighter area, you want to make the area you're painting smaller and smaller. This will allow some of your darker tones to show through and give you a really nice depth, and that's what's really going to sell the effect. Obviously, having painted this gorgeous model, it doesn't do us any good if he's tipping over all day, so better figure that out. And what better way than with this gorgeous modeled base that they provided. The only thing about it that makes me sad is that the rest of the bases in this kit are not like this. Maybe it's time to get a 3D printer set up so my desire for gorgeous bases isn't slave to the whims of a giant corporation. I guess that's a problem for another day. Back to the base. The easiest way to pick out all these beautiful details on this base is to do a very targeted form of dry brushing, leaving paint on just the lettering. The issue now is that you can't really see the letters on that white background. To fix that, you're going to want to use a little bit of dark wash. Bingo! Now we got that gorgeous golden lettering, and it's very clearly legible. Since we already have a gold out for the project, let's use that and put it on his Crozius. Weapons and faces are the main focal point when we look at someone. We can't help it, it's human nature. Do they look friendly? Are they scowling and carrying a big stick? To make a great looking mini, we need to emphasize those two areas, since that's what we'll be unconsciously looking at anyway. For this inner glow, you want to use a thin down paint. In this case, the green glow needs to be strongest at its source, that's around the neck, and then blend it out to a less opaque color the further away it gets. It's also helpful to sell the effect if you get some of that color on the underside of the jaw and the cables up on the face. Now that we're cleaned up, we're on the final straight, last push, and that final push is all about details. we're going to be looking around the model and the base and just picking up anything that we've missed or left out. One of the big focus items here is going to be on the dirt on the base. That's the texture paste that I added earlier in the video. Once the base color's down and the highlights are on, we can go ahead and add that wash, and that's just going to give us a little bit more dimension, a little more depth. Now, we simply need to rip some metal spikes out of his legs. I'm sure he will be eternally grateful for that. And then we're going to glue him onto his shiny new home. At this point, you're done. But with Lemartes being a gaming piece for me, I want to give him a little bit of extra protection. No power armor. More the thin layer of varnish kind. With that final coat over everything, we can make sure that he can lead his doomed brothers for millennia to come. After all, he is the guardian of the lost. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit the YouTube things on the way out, and if you'd like a more in-depth tutorial on those marble bases, it'll be right up here.